Hi, myself, I'm Nishant, and it's a joint work between Pierre, myself, and Lucas, under the supervision of Doina and Joel. So, I'm going to talk about recurrent learning for reinforcement learning. So, what does it actually do here? So, what we do is, we have like a set of value functions of the state that we visit along the trajectory. So what we want to do is we want to reduce the variance of this value function along the trajectory. So that's one thing. And second thing is to emphasize and de-emphasize the updates on certain states, which means you want to update certain states and you want to not update certain states. And how are we going to do this? So we will use ideas from exponential smoothing to reduce the variance along the trajectory, and we have this state dependent parameter which is similar to LSTM and GRU, which ignores the updating of certain states. So what is exponential smoothing? So let's say I have so this exponential smoothing is applied to many fields to smooth out the value. So let's say I have like an input which is ht and xt minus 1 is an output which is exponentially smooth from the previous state, and I give out an output at time step t xt as a convex combination of my current state and the previous previous output. So what happens in RL is actually the Q values and the values are estimated as point estimates. When I say point estimates, they do not depend upon the previous value. They are not there's no explicit enforcement of them to depend on the previous values or future values. So you have this learning rate TD error, and then you estimate it as a point estimate. So we can use a similar form as we have here on the exponential smoothing, and we can estimate value function along the trajectory using such a formulation. The idea is to have the value function to be similar for the states that are close to each other. So the problem with this kind of a setting is that you would encounter like high bias when you are in a state which is completely different from what you have seen in the past. For example, you're walking on a street and then you fall off a cliff. So falling off a cliff is like completely different state, and walking on a street is some other state. So there's a huge difference in state, though they are temporarily close to each other. We must not have like similar value in them. So to solve this problem, what we do is like one technique is to have state dependent parameters. So the betas that you see in the exponentially smoothing equation. So you can have those parameters to depend on state. So when such an encounter occurs, then you can emphasize that particular state and then learn the value separately. So this is the idea. So how do we go about doing it in RL? So at each point in time, our TD error usually is given by reward and the discounted value of the next state. So instead of the value of your current state, we're going to modify it with a V beta of st. So what is V beta? So it's a convex combination of the current estimate and the previous value of the trajectory. So V beta of st minus 1 is the convex combination that you keep on doing until current state, and then when you reach at current time step, then you're gonna use this TD error to learn the value of the state. So when we take the semi gradient, so what happens is that like your gradient would be a convex combination of the gradient of current value and the gradient along the values that you have seen in the past. So hence the name recurrent learning. So this kind of recursion of the gradient, which is similar to backpropping time kind of a thing. So and we use the same update tool where you change the parameters using the TD error and the gradient of V beta of st. So we can also approximate this, since backpropagation through time is expensive to do at each point in time. We can kind of approximate the gradient by using the eligibility traces. As we know, eligibility traces are nothing but the gradient of value function, and then we can have this gradient at time step st of the value function, and then you could have accumulated the gradient from the past, and then you can use it to compute the eligibility trace. So this is computationally efficient way to update the parameters, but then you would be biased because doing backprop through time is not similar to kind of accumulating the gradient since your weights are changing at each point in time. So our algorithm would look like this. This is for policy evaluation case with TD0. TD0 as in we use like one step target, which is reward and the value of the next state. So given the policy phi, beta, gamma, and theta, what we do is like we choose an action, we observe, we take an action and observe reward in the next state, and then we update the v beta, and then we update our trace, and then we find the TD error, and then we update the weights. So to give an intuition of what happens when we have this kind of a setting, so consider you have a chain of states. And let's say there are two states in a sequence of in a chain of states with beta equal to 1, and let's say beta is equal to 0 for all the other states. So when you're in a beta equal to 0 state, your trace parameter et would not get updated because the value of beta is 0. So you're kind of having like you're not updating those particular states at all. But when you are in a state where beta is 1, you're gonna remember the gradient of that state or that particular state, and then once you see a state which has like beta equal to 1 again, you're gonna update the TD error that you receive at that point in time to this particular state. So that's how beta is what
beta acts as your gating.
Yeah, beta acts as a gating. Yeah. So the state, since the betas are state dependent, it kind of acts like a gating mechanism in recurrent network. So it passes the gradient or closes the gradient based on its value. So this is how the results look like. So we experimented with PPO with n backprops. So we were not doing like n backprop in time. So this is averaged over 20 seeds with hyperparameter search. I mean, one thing to notice is that like our results are at par with the vanilla version. So, but the takeaway is how to interpret this beta function as. So once beta is learned, right? So we kind of like generated videos of how it would look like, and I'm going to explain them. So this is on Hopper. So the brighter the screen is, the higher the intensity, the higher the value of beta. So what happens is like there are like various phases that go here. So when the hopper wants to jump from the ground, that state it identifies itself as like this particular state is important to me, and it emphasizes an update for that state more. Hence the value of beta is higher. And then when it's traveling in the air after jumping or while landing, so those states are not important. You can actually ignore updating those states, and hence like you would see that beta is low on those particular states. And then this cycle keeps on repeating. So you have like high beta state, and then low beta, and then high beta, low beta, and this keeps on going. And similar results can be seen on ALE environment as well. So this is like a video breakout. So when the ball is about to hit the paddle, you have like high beta value, and when the ball is about to hit the brick, you have high beta value, because in the entire game, like you can think of these two states as like very important states. So emphasizing like on these states. Yeah.
So is the smoothing applied on the advantage function, or is it the?
It's on the critic. So you have this value coming out of a network, right? So what you do is like you apply smoothing on the values that you receive from the critic.
But in PPA, the advantage function.
Which is again V. Yeah. And ALE results are generated with A to C, and then Mujoko results are generated with PPO. So the intuition is that like why you are emphasizing on these particular states is because like if you were to take a different action or a different policy on these particular states, your values would be entirely different from what it could have been by taking that particular action. So since there's like a huge change in the past and the present, so you're going to emphasize those values higher. So we also have like other, we have these results for form DP domain in like toy setting, wherein like ignoring certain states which are partially observable is actually a good thing to do, and you reduce like variance, and you would actually learn the actual value by relying upon the V beta. Yeah.
How do you learn the beta values?
Yeah. So how do we learn it? So when you see this formulation, right? So basically, let me explain. So you have this one-step TD right? So which is R plus gamma V of ST plus 1. So that is your target. And your estimate is V beta. So when you decompose V beta into V of ST, and then V beta of ST minus 1. So beta actually answers this question. So should is my value of the current state closer to my target, or my previous estimate closer to the target? If previous estimate is closer to the target, then it puts more emphasis on the V beta of ST minus 1. So if my current value is like closer to the target, if I receive like less TD error by emphasizing more on V of ST, then I would have like high beta here. So kind of like what you can do is like in practice you take the mean squared error between V beta and then your target, and then you update your beta network through the same error.
Right. So I guess the answer is like how do you get a lot for this beta and you parameterize with neural net.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And do you have like recurrences in neural net?
Recurrence on the beta?
Yeah. So you provide like state.
Right.
And it generates the beta.
Yeah, you provide the state, it generates the beta, and then like since you keep collecting samples, and then like you keep using the beta, when you're backpropping, you're actually backpropping all the way to the beta network as well, and all the way to the value network as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
And would it be interesting to consider like these beta values to have a history presentation instead of being produced conditional heuristic as conditional heuristic? I mean, I don't know this environment. Maybe there's some states that are actually the same, but depending on what you've done before, they might have different values. But I guess that it violates the
Markov assumption, right?
Yeah. Like it would be actually different states.
Yeah.
Is it no longer okay?
No. Should I share the screen again?
Oh.
Oh, okay. So, what are the takeaways from this work, and then other interesting ideas? So one is with respect to generalization. So given our setting is such a way that like you are emphasizing certain states and then ignoring the updates on certain states, in the sense that you are restricting the capacity of a network, and hence like if you change your task a little bit, you would start your betas would start emphasizing on those states. As a result, like you should have like a better generalization properties. This is like an hypothesis that we are testing. The reason, one thing what we observed in inverted pendulum is that when we use vanilla PPO, rewards drop significantly, like many times, like below the average reward case. We can call it like a catastrophic forgetting because like, it dropped like 6 times like in the span of 100 K steps. Whereas like in our setting, we only drop like 3.5 times. Since it's averaged over 20 seats, then you see the dissonance there. And then second interesting idea is like beta as an interest function. So once you learn like a good beta, like once you identify these are the particular states that are important to me, what you can do is you can start doing structured exploration. Like you can go all the way into the particular state, and then from there you can start exploring further. So, and the second thing is like prioritize experience replace. So if you have a buffer, and then if you want to prioritize, you can prioritize on the transitions which has like high beta. So that's one way to think about. And then relationship between beta and lambda. So as I said, when we learn beta, we kind of like find the error between V of ht with the target and V bit of ht minus 1 with the target. We see like, is my current estimate closer to the target or my previous value of the trajectory closer to the target? So, you would learn like a better beta if your target is not just one step return, but if it's like 2 steps, 3 step or lambda returns. Hence, like to learn like better beta, you need to have like better target. By better target, you can think of having like a long horizon target. Hence, there is like some kind of interaction between betas and lambdas. So that can be explored further. And then the entire framework right now, what we have is with policy evaluation. So the same thing can be extended with the control. So it could be applied to Q values, and in the policy gradient setting, we can think of smoothing your actions along the trajectory. It's like if you pick an action at some point in state, you don't want to keep taking the same action in the future state until and unless it's absolutely necessary for you to change in that time. It's kind of vanilla version of options. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is filters, and then which are a general framework for eligibility traces and filter temporal difference. So until the control extension, so it's recurrent learning. So if you have any questions or any discussions here. So options is nothing but like you have like a policy with you in a particular state, right? So it could be like a mixture of actions, right? Yeah. So I'm saying like options when you do the policy smoothing. So if you enforce your actions to be consistent along the trajectory in policy gradient methods, then it's kind of like vanilla options, right? So you're taking an action at some state ht, and you're enforcing to take same action in the next state. Exactly. So it does not make sense because let's say the actions are discrete and like average transfer to be 1.2. Like action 1 plus must move left, action 2 plus must move right. Right. Like the weighted mean transfer to be 1.2. So what I'm saying is like if you have discrete actions, you're gonna sample the action based on the softmax probabilities, right? So you can smooth out the probabilities itself, right? So you can have the convex combination of the softmax probabilities, and then you can sample from that distribution. Or you can even have like a continuous distribution, a continuous setting, and you can have a convex combination. So that's how to think of policy gradient method. And another way is to kind of have this explicit regularizer in policy gradient methods using the KL divergence between the current policy and the previous policy. So keep accumulating the KL divergence between the current policy and the previous policy, and then like have certain coefficient which weighs in this factor as well. As a result, you would have like temporal consistency in policies. So that's another view about it. So if it's clear, then I'll move on to filters, which are a general framework for eligibility traces for the next 5-10 minutes. Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to use the board now. So I'll write the simplest version of the eligibility traces in RL. So it is nothing but at each point in time. So to discount your previous trace with gamma lambda, and then you add the gradient of the current time step. Right? This is your simplest version. So when I look at this equation, right, if I'm from signal processing background, I would say like I have a system which takes an input and which gives an output, but the response of this system is gamma lambda, and then this I would approximate as a simple IIR filter. So what is IIR filter? So it has like infinite impulse response, as in I have a system. I can think of it as a black box. It takes an input xn at time step n, then it gives out a yn, and the response of my system for this input never dies. For example, let's say I pass an impulse function to this black box, and what let's say I would get like exponentially decaying output, which is the case in eligibility traces. So if I pass like 1 here, for example, and then like I would keep discounting my input 1 at each point in time with gamma lambda, and I have like exponentially decaying version here. So this kind of simple setting is called like infinite impulse response. So on the general framework for IR, given as this. So this is a general framework for IR filters. What filters do is like you have like certain memory units, and then you store like the previous inputs of in those memory units, and then you have like previous output, and you show those previous outputs in different memory units, and then what you have is like you have this alpha and beta kind of can be thought of like attention on different units.
So do you learn this alpha beta?
Yeah, you would learn this alpha and beta essentially, hence like an adaptive filter.
Okay.
But I'm saying like how this can be, how eligibility cases can be generalized with this. So when you have this, when you have only one memory unit here, when you have only one memory unit here, when your beta is like gamma lambda, and when your alpha is 1, you kind of fall down into the eligibility cases equation. So when beta not equal to gamma lambda, and then alpha 1 is equal to 1. So this is like usual eligibility cases. And then like the recurrent cases which
That is just not the case of this.
Huh?
That is just one of the
Yeah, that
special
is
cases.
like, one of the so this can again be obtained with this formulation. So the idea is to be general with eligibility cases, and then like have this kind of a combination, and then learn alphas and betas, and then as a result like have like an adaptive filter which this
Okay.
this idea.
Okay. So in a way, when you were doing recurrent learning, you were learning beta there, right?
Right.
So here you have to learn alpha. You will be learning
Set of
alpha
alphas and set of
and
betas.
beta. So
Yeah. So idea is you can say like you had beta and then you want to emphasize on a kind of the flash estimate. You have a set of memories. And each memory has certain items stored in them. You want to emphasize certain items and not emphasize. And then like such that you're closer to the target.
but you were actually emphasizing in your recurrent learning, you were actually emphasizing on which gradient should be. Basically, beta was a switch, which emphasized which gradient.
Exactly. Should I depend on this or should I?
Okay.
That's the idea. So I'm done. Yeah.
I have a question regarding the network with respect to the learning. Did you find it to be very unstable or something?
So our setting works like well for a range of alphas. That's because like at each point in time it learns to ignore and then update. As a result, you are kind of stable with respect to the other.
But usually because they can actually suffer with range of other working very specific setup.